Welcome back to the Spotlight Games podcast for episode 162. Today I'm back and I've brought some friends with me. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Shadow dropped today, so we're going to be sharing some initial impressions on that. But the reason for tonight's show, the plan that we've been cooking, is to talk all about Lost Records, Bloom and Rage. We'll be doing a full review and spoiler cast, but we're going to let you know when we're getting into spoiler territory. So don't go away if you haven't finished the game, because there's plenty of content to happen before then. Joining me this week for the first time on the channel, Highscoreweekly, aka Josh. Josh, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be on here.
Hell yeah.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Whoa. Look, the last week we made history with the first episode without myself and Cayman in 161 episodes. And now we're making history yet again by bringing you on the show. So thanks for being here.
That's right.
But also joining us is my drop in, drop out co-host, half of JK Games and the brain behind Clickerbait, Jerica, aka Jerica Chew. Jerica, how you doing?
Still trying to recover from the weekend. You know, there's a lot of death over the weekend. It was supposed to be Easter, but I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
You know, the Pope. Yeah. What happened? You know, what happened to the Pope?
He
died.
He died. Yeah.
Damn. Okay. I mean, but like, how did he die? Was it just old age or
stroke? He had a stroke.
God damn.
So
real
old age. He was old AF. The chat popping off already. We got Maury in the chat as Spotlight Games Pod. We got Kayla. We got Cognitive. We got Coal Mines. Coal Mines, of course, being first. Thanks for being here, y'all. We have a lot of video game stuff to talk about because this is the Spotlight Games podcast where each week we spotlight the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Spotlight Games Pod. Follow us there so that you're notified when we go live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time right here on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. This week, there's so much happening in our world. We got drop in, drop out. We got Clickerbait. We got this. We got all sorts of streams. We're getting access to games. It's so much to handle, but this is what I'll tell you. This week, we're doing a fun little update. If you're a knower, if you have been around the drop in, drop out ecosystem since we launched in January, when we did our Fantasy Critic draft, where a bunch of us picked a whole bunch of games. This Thursday, we are doing a check-in episode. We're going to see how are our teams doing, what games have we added, what's come out that's done well, what's come out that's not done well. And then we're also going to be talking about Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, and more about Oblivion, because we're only going to scratch the surface tonight. So that's a little bit of what you can expect this week in our world. But an easy way to always know what's happening, go to dropindropoutpod.com. Join the Discord. We have a fun Discord where we just, all of us goof off about video games together. We got channels for all the different shows, all the different people. It's a great place to be. We got threads about spoilers about games. We got threads about spoilers about shows. We got all sorts of threads. We got threads just making fun of Maury because he's never in the Discord. It's a great time. Oh shit, Maury, you're in the chat. What'd you say, Jerica?
Enough to make a Maury sweater, maybe.
Exactly.
Like, tickling. Someone tickling him.
A strand type Discord.
Whoa.
I like that.
If we make the Discord a strand game, Maury will quit his job and just be in the Discord 24/7.
Let's make it right now.
Is a guarantee. He says, I'll come. Thank you, Maury.
Great.
I am so thrilled to be back. And not only am I back, but I'm here with Jerica. You and I talk all the time, but Josh, we don't get to talk all that much. So, but the three of us together, our powers combined,
we're going to be here for like 3 hours.
Nigh unstoppable. That's exactly right. We'll be here at least for the rest of the day. But this is Spotlight Games. And while we do want to get to talking about Lost Records, we do want to spoil the ever-loving shit out of that game. We like to start our episodes here at Spotlight Games with what we've been playing, and this week is no different. Josh, what you been playing, big dog? Actually, you know what I did? Right before we went live, I said, Josh, I'm going to ask you to tell the audience about yourself, and then I didn't until I started going into the next topic. I'm rusty. People. Josh,
you're Patrick.
I'm Patrick and Rusty. Josh, if people don't know you, I'm sure they've heard your name in the chat. They've heard your name in various. If they've been on, or if they watched Clickerbait, they've seen you there. If they've watched JK Games, they've seen you there. But what if there's a listener folding laundry right now that has no idea who you are? Tell the folks at home who you are, what you like.
Okay, I got to keep this brief. You get me talking about myself. It can turn into its own podcast. First of all, Patrick, thank you for having me on to Spotlight Games. This is your first time back in a while, actually, right?
It is. Yeah, I've been gone for like 5 weeks, maybe. Other than when I popped in for 10 seconds shirtless that one time.
That's right. And that I noticed that was in your little new intro video too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
made it
come
in
on,
there.
showing
Look
off
at
the little
well,
slutty shoulder.
me and Jerica almost tricked you. This was about to be Jerica and Josh's Final Fantasy X-2 rank the dress sphere podcast.
Aha.
We were just going to talk about this for a couple hours.
Wow, look at Riku.
But hey, so you already know, so you can join right in. So yes, for those that don't know me, I'm Josh, and I was just telling Patrick some of my lore before this, the extended lore, but I used to be into streaming about 10 years ago, actually. And here's a little preview for coming up this weekend. I might be doing a 10-year anniversary bonus stream with my previous co-host. So
Whoa,
that's a world exclusive.
That's an exclusive
drop.
right here on
Yeah.
Twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Podcast.
So used to do the streaming thing a little bit, got busy with life. Now I have a tea farm, tea company, candy company. But I'm better at managing my time a little bit, getting back into content. You'll notice me on Discord and everywhere at Highscoreweekly. You can check out highscoreweekly.com. But whether you're on Twitch or everywhere, TikTok, Instagram, it's Highscoreweekly. As far as me, I'm a big time Nintendo person. That's my main focus. I love Nintendo games. I've been collecting Nintendo like my whole life, really. So anything, first party, second party, Mario, Metroid, Zelda, Donkey Kong, all that kind of stuff. Big into it. My account right now, I'm focusing a lot on video game music, but I'm also doing kind of, people like the nostalgia. So I'm giving the people what they want. So I've been doing a lot of retro, kind of looking at old games. I'm big on physical media. I like playing games on, CRTs and like old TVs and stuff like that. Real quick, if you want to know like some of my formative kind of game kind of stuff, it would be Earthbound. This is like one of my number one kind of change my brain chemistry core memory kind of game. This was the first time when I was a kid when I played like an RPG that was my own that I really connected with. And so kind of the pipeline from Earthbound to Undertale to, we even talked about the Pope. The Pope actually got to watch a little Undertale concert once. Amazing.
Whoa,
really?
Yeah, it's wild. Look it up.
Wow.
Wow. But yeah, so I'm big into kind of, I wouldn't even call it retro games, but I just really enjoy Nintendo mostly. I'm also a huge Final Fantasy nerd. You'll notice me from JK Games Final Fantasy episodes. Some people call me the Final Fantasy guy. I think Jake could give me a run for my money though, because Jake Twitchin, he knows his Final Fantasy as well.
He does.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're that old, things.
And so, I'm just excited to be here talking about this. I'm also a huge Don't Nod fan. And so as soon as this game was coming out, I knew I wanted to talk about it somewhere. And so I was trying to, weasel my way onto some show somewhere. So I made it. I made it to the big times.
Yeah, you made it to the big times, Dad.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here. What a lovely, I learned some things there, even though I've known you for quite some time now. So what we're doing is bringing knowledge to the people. But now that the listeners at home, they're on to their next bit of the laundry. Maybe they're hanging up the hangables now. They finished folding. Now they know a little bit about you. That's exciting. Before we jump into what we've been playing, I must acknowledge the hype train happening in the chat. Here's the thing.
Or choo-choo.
Yeah, choo-choo or hoot-hoot. Whatever. Here's the thing. A lot of streamers will be like, oh, don't give me your money. No, don't do that. Don't try to convince people in the chat to subscribe and give bits and all those things. Give me your fucking money.
Okay.
Subscribe to the fucking channel. We're bringing you that sweet, sweet content. And what I don't want to happen for you, I'm doing this for you. I don't want you to be hit with ads right when Josh is making a great point about a game he's been playing. Okay. I don't want you to miss out on the sweet, sweet conversation from Jerica when she talks about the boiled hot dog she had this morning for lunch. All right. Give us a sub. If you haven't joined the cause and canceled your Amazon Prime, use your Prime sub. Throw a little bit back at Jeff Bezos and say, fuck you. I take some of your money too, brother. So yeah, that's my pitch. Go your own way, but I hope you give us money so that we are happy because money makes us happy. Now let's get into it. I've been away from this for so long. I just want to talk with my friends about what we've been playing. So Josh, you're the number one guest of the show because it's your first time. Not to say that, Jerica, you're still my favorite, but
That's okay.
we've not had Josh here before. Josh, what you been playing, buddy?
Well, obviously, Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, but we were about to talk about that for a little bit. So
yes, we'll save that to the end.
Aside from that, I'll tell you one new release that might be surprising is Katamari Live.
Whoa.
Okay.
On iOS.
Yeah. It's on Apple Arcade right now. And that's another one of my big games. I told people I would save this story. I'll give you a really quick rundown. Okay. I went to the E3 that they showed Katamari at, but it wasn't like shown. It was tucked away at a Namco booth or whatever. It was on one little thing. And there was like a bunch of these smaller little games there. And there's no one, you see the crowds at E3, everyone's like lining up. There's no one playing this game. Okay. And they had some like staff there, like Japanese staff there. And I was really like instantly like hooked on Katamari, like looking at it and that crazy intro cinematic and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I started talking to the guy and I was like, when is this coming out? And he's like, oh, we don't know if we're bringing it to the US yet because it would be too hard to like localize. And like, we're just kind of showing it here to like get some feedback or like whatever. And I was like, that's crazy. And I was like, please, you have to bring this out. Like, he's like, oh, really? You're interested? Like, yeah, you don't even need to localize it. Just like, this is the game. Like, you don't even like whatever. And every day of E3, I would come back and talk to that guy and play it. And so jokingly, I tell people that I'm the reason that Katamari came to the US because I was like so high on Katamari that I just couldn't stop talking about it. So over the years, it's come out on almost every platform, honestly. Xbox, PSP, I think there was on a Vita. There was a port on mobile before, but this is a new game, Katamari Live. It's out on Apple Arcade. And I was a little bit hesitant because the previous mobile port was kind of low effort, but this one's great so far. I haven't beat it. It's not that long, but it's really like a full Katamari game. Brand new soundtrack. The soundtrack's on Spotify and Apple Music and everywhere else. It's a really good soundtrack, and it's got the same kind of charm and writing from the other games. And I'm just really enjoying it. Have any of you played that game before?
I've not played the iOS one, but I have played Katamari separately. Is the iOS version pretty much just the same, just on mobile?
It pretty much plays the same way. So it is a little weird with touch controls. That's
sure
the disadvantage. I haven't tried it to see if it has controller support. The touch controls aren't great, obviously, with something like that, but it works. Once you start playing it, you kind of get used to it.
Hell yeah. Jake Twitch in the chat says finally some good fucking hosts. Finally, God.
But I've been loving Katamari, getting back into it. I haven't really played, like, some of the new ones were okay. This one's doing it for me. I hope to see more in the future. I hope this is like a little reboot.
Sure.
I was surprised I was just surprised by the whole production value of it, considering it's mobile. There's a stigma against mobile games,
sure, there is. And so no like gotcha bullshit. There's no like.
No, not that I've seen. I haven't gone crazy into it, but Apple Arcade in general doesn't have that stuff.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, they and so it's like a full release, and so I don't know if it's timed. A lot of that stuff on there ends up being timed.
Yeah.
So I kind of imagine it might make its appearance somewhere else eventually, but I'm really hoping to see more.
Yeah, you have me interested. I go back and forth between the Apple Arcade subscription. Like every now and then I'll re-up it if there's a game that jumps out to me. And this might be jumping out to me based on what you're saying. Jerica, how about you? Have you been playing anything of note other than Lost Records, Bloom, and Rage?
I did pick up Oblivion today because I wanted to get my teeth into that, but I haven't really played enough to tell you like,
sure.
This is how I feel. But I just wanted y'all to know I'm playing it. And funny enough, I honestly didn't think I played it, but I remember the beginning. So I definitely have played it at some point. It was just so long ago now. Because I was like, oh, I remember this. Okay, I remember. And then the rats. Yeah, it was immediately.
Every Scrolls beginning is so
just
memorable.
Rats, big rats. They got a rat problem. But even just going into it, I was truly hoping this was gonna be a remake, but I think based on rumors, like the remaster experience was what they were talking about. But I'm not disappointed in it because normally
Yeah.
that's what I want is like a complete remake. But they've done a really good job of making an old game feel like super new, like
Yeah.
to the point where I could tell it's a little dated in some places, but the functionality of everything is just seamless. Like that game runs. It is literally a really hot roll with a lot of butter on it right now in terms of how it
Yeah.
runs.
I am shocked that this is a remaster. Like the way that this game feels totally new to me, but like it's running on the source engine. They just or the creation engine is the bones. What they've said is the creation engine is the brain and Unreal Engine 5 is the body. So they have just
Yeah.
all of these upgrades from Unreal Engine 5 to make everything just sing. And like it's crazy how much it feels like a remake, even though it's not. Like this is the kind of remaster that it's kind of setting the bar for me on remasters now. Like
Yes.
because it's so impressive. And yeah, I put like my PlayStation already says I put 5 hours into it because I think it has the same bug from
That's
back in
so
the day
funny.
where it doesn't suspend time if you
That's
suspend your
so
system.
funny.
And so but I've not put in 5 hours. I put in maybe like an hour. I got out of the sewer at the beginning and then did it like, I don't know, 30 more minutes of running around and going into one of the little caves nearby. But I'm going to play so fucking much of this game. And I'm so excited that it is finally here. Because yeah, Oblivion for me is like, that was my very first Bethesda game. I played it before Fallout 3. I mean, because it came out before Fallout 3. But I remember, I think this was like 7th grade for me. I maybe a little older than that, maybe 8th or 9th. I would just lose weeks of my life to this game in summer with my friends. So yeah, I'm very excited. So far, very impressed. But we'll definitely share a lot more on Thursday's episode of Drop In, Drop Out.
What platform did you play it originally on?
The 360.
Me too. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I did.
And there was a podcast. It was probably kind of funny. Maybe so like Mike was talking about how he had found his old Oblivion save from the cloud from years and years prior. And a few months ago, I booted up Oblivion on the Xbox just to see if mine happened to be out there, and it wasn't. Because I would have been so interested to see, because I put hours into that game, but it wasn't out there.
What was your main build?
It's it's been so long, I don't remember. As I was going through, I think I did a red guard, like some sort of a strong build. But this time I'm trying to do a wood elf archer this time. I've never really done an archer in any of the Elder Scrolls games. And so far I don't love it. I might pivot.
It's a weird, because I picked up a bow just to see how it was very strange. I didn't realize you have to like draw the arrow. Unless I'm doing something
this is
wrong.
funny because in
like, what?
Elder Scrolls I usually play thief/assassin, so I usually will do archery and like knives and like close range and stuff, like roguelike. What's funny is I think I saw something about they fixed it in the remaster or remake, whatever you want to call it. But in Oblivion, because you have to defeat Oblivion gates that open up.
Yeah.
And when you're in the gates, sneaking doesn't work because you're in like a whatever eldritch plane or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just remember playing it. I had invested all into this sneak build, and then I just got wrecked, and I couldn't play the main storyline. That's the main reason I didn't play the main storyline, is because I couldn't even do it because my character was like nerfed. So that's why I end up just doing the Assassin's Guild and the Thieves Guild, and those are like their own games.
Yeah.
Practically,
for sure.
How long they are. But I've never beat the main storyline because I couldn't get through any of the Oblivion gates.
Yeah. I'm remembering now. Coal Mines in the chat asked, how's the magic gameplay? I'm primarily a magic person in RPGs. I remember I was a wizard back when I did Oblivion.
I think that's always a solid choice.
Yeah. And so far, so I'm doing like Kayla, I'm doing a mage wood elf. So I have my bow, but then I have my right hand shooting spells because you can do that where since my left hand is only holding the bow. And it feels good so far. It feels very much like Skyrim would. It just kind of feels like Skyrim with a better coat of paint in a new setting with new people, but the same 4 voice actors. It's the best. Also, Coal Mine says I was shitting my pants when Oblivion first came out. Amazing.
Literally.
So yeah, we'll be talking about Oblivion a good bit more on the channel here and Dido this week because yeah, I'm so fucking excited. Jerica, anything else you've been playing that you want to talk about?
I don't know if y'all know this. It's on my list. I have a list of things I'd like to do before I die.
Yeah.
And one of those is actually like getting my like private pilot license at some point. Like
Oh,
I
Yeah.
do love
oh.
like flying, and you know, I've been in real life a couple times. All this to say, I haven't touched the new Saturday. I had some free time. I played a lot of games, just random
Yeah.
games here and there. Flight Simulator from last year came. I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I'm finally gonna sit down and like fly some planes. So I don't know if either one of you are a flight sim person. I've played all of them since like literally for one of the first ones on like 98 was one I remember playing that
Wow.
so much. So I've always been into it since I was little. Could I land a plane in real life? Depending on the plane,
I
maybe.
think you might be able to if you've played them.
Yeah, I think I could a small plane, but
Cool.
I wanted to see how the new one ran on my PC, and surprisingly, not too bad. It's one of those games you can get off the old Game Pass, you know, because it's Microsoft.
Mhm.
What's the one that
And
came out during COVID?
I don't know.
One came out during
I
COVID,
did-
didn't it? Wasn't it like 20 like Microsoft Flight Simulator whatever year or
Yeah,
something?
And
I
then
mean,
that's the one I actually played it during that time period.
Cool.
I didn't play the
Oh.
most recent one.
but I love it. You know, they might have not had this in the previous entry, but like, there's like literally you can just do the campaign and go to school and learn how to fly a plane, and all of it's
Wow.
studied. And that's when I sort of turned it off because I was like, all right, I'm done studying because I was just flying whatever. And I was like, oh, this is actually requiring me to read and pass a test for my character to leave Anniston, Alabama. That's where I started their journey, specifically at an airport that I learned how to fly a plane, you know, a couple times with, I don't know if that's legal, but it was local, you know, in the South. Got to be a co-pilot a couple times.
I don't know why it would be illegal, but I also don't know flight law very well.
Well,
So
I keep putting down the books in Flight
Sure.
Sim, so I don't know the actual law, but I can
Okay.
fly a little bit. And that was
Okay.
fun. So I played a little Flight Sim, and Assassin's Creed Shadows, got back into that for most of my time. But I think it's about to have to be shelved again because of all the
Yeah.
games we have coming out this week.
It's such a bummer, dude. I want to be playing more Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I haven't touched it in like 3 weeks because there's just been because I've been so obsessed with blueprints. It's borderline unhealthy. I think I have completely fucked up my entire sleep schedule because of blueprints, and it's like I seem alert and alive right now, but the second this podcast is over, I'm gonna just be a fucking zombie because I'm this game, dude. It is so fucking good. Jerica, I think I saw you dabbling in some blueprints this week because I know your girlfriend's playing a bunch of it.
I'm playing more so through her because like I
Okay.
just don't have a time for another game. But I
Yeah.
definitely agree.
Coleman
here. Like,
says
this
they're
is-
40 hours. How much time you got?
Let's see what my
I'll see what
handy
Audrey's has in it. How many
PS
hours
app
you got in
says.
blueprints?
I want to say I'm closer to 60 right now. Let's see. The PS app says that, doesn't it? Somewhere, maybe.
If you find it, I'd like to tell Audrey where it is.
Kayla's got 7. How about that?
I think I only have like 4.
Will it tell you how many hours you got in it somewhere?
Maybe it doesn't. Maybe I have to be on the actual place.
Normally I do this on JK Games, so let me yell at Audrey off screen
Sure.
here since it's been a minute.
It's it's a whole vibe.
I like that bit. That's my favorite bit.
Audrey!
Yeah, I can't look. I could turn on my portal and check with that, but I think I'm around 60 right now. I've the things that I've unlocked in this game. It's like under profiles on the main menu.
Under
it'll show you.
profiles, main menu.
I don't know.
Hey, we're doing this live.
And can I do that in the app, or that's just on the PlayStation? Coal mines.
Oh yeah. Who knows like how much she's had it, but it's
recently played.
It's counting too many hours, 41 hours.
Okay.
But it might be true because she's literally playing it right now, like in front of me.
Probably true then.
It's like the things I'm at a point now where I'm looking up some things because
It's been on pause.
The amount of puzzles in this game and the amount of story that just like continues to be spooled from the walls of this mansion. I am so impressed by this game. If you don't know the premise, if you're listening to this, like you should to fucking say what this game is. It is a first-person puzzle game where you are the heir to this mansion in the woods of some country, and each morning all of the rooms in the mansion basically randomize, and it works like a roguelike. So you open a door, it'll give you 3 room options, and each of those rooms have like certain entrances and exits and certain things within the rooms. And the ultimate goal is to get to the very top of the mansion and find the 46th room that no one has been able to get into for however many years or whatever. They can't figure out how to get into room 46. So that's the ultimate goal. But within it, there's just so many like pounds and pounds and pounds of like puzzles and things all over. Like, it's just every time I think I'm getting to a point where like, okay, I think I'm like getting everything. Like, I think I've uncovered just about every big thing. This massive fucking thing that just changes how I view the entire game happens. And I find this room that recontextualizes the entire mansion and the entire timeline. And I'm like, what? How is this game doing this to me? So highly, highly recommend Blueprints if you've not been playing it. It's the rare one for me where like I talk on this podcast a lot where I don't get to finish a lot of games, but I also don't get to either replay games or like stick with a game once I've hit credits. And this is a game that I am like very purposefully not putting down because I want to uncover more, even though like there was a moment to start getting into the Lost Records conversation where I was like, I might need to reschedule Lost Records Spoilercast because I can't pull myself away from Blueprints, but I did it. I finished the game yesterday, about 20 seconds before Clickerbait started. But yeah, Blueprints, you guys gotta fucking play it. Okay, Colemine says, in the app runtime, but the profiles in Blueprints, the app shows app runtime. I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. 55 hours.
Okay, yeah, you said 60, so close.
Yeah, so I was close. But yeah, I'm very bad at finishing coal mines, but not Blueprints. I am the Blueprints. All right. Let's fucking watch out. All right. So let's start talking about Lost Records. I feel like the way we can do this is stay spoiler free at first. Just talk about our kind of high level view, that kind of thing. And then we'll go into spoilers. But the thing is, I've been your host until this point, but now I'm handing the reins to Jerica, aka Jerkachu. Jerica, you're in control of the show.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Hot potato.
It's hot. Not really. I'll just set it down right here. Yeah, let's dive into it. I hope everyone here is ready to talk about. Yeah, it's jerkin time.
It's jerkin time is so good.
I need that on a shirt with the Power Ranger. That'd be perfect. Okay, so yeah, we finished it. I am happy that tape 2 is a little shorter than tape 1, just for in the moment of, because we have so much going on. So I was thankful, but also I was like, damn, this was shorter and I really want more. But yeah, before we get into like story stuff, I want to know, like, from each of you, like, if you can describe this game in one sentence, what would that sentence be?
Josh, you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Describe the game or my experience with it?
Either one. Don't overthink it. I think both will be fine.
This game messed me up.
Whoa. Okay. That is one sentence, so now it's my turn.
That's it.
This is a game about, let's make it cleaner. This is a game about reckoning with your past to me.
Mine is, this game took me back to my childhood and made me cry, and I want more of it. That's a horrible sentence.
Would you go as far as to say you like it, you love it, you want some more of it?
Oh, no, because don't we get in trouble if we sing songs on here?
Oh, yeah, probably.
That was so close, Patrick, because you're spot on. Be careful.
Spotlight. Spot on.
It should be noted, too, we didn't discuss this with ourselves, you know? Yeah. We haven't discussed how we 3 feel about the game. So
this is true. This is
fresh for everyone.
I do truly think, like, based on all of our personalities and our experiences, like, we are going to have a different... This game has landed, obviously, just from your current responses, like, how you describe it. I know for a fact each of us are going to, there's so many decisions to make, but we are going to have totally different outlooks on like, what did this game mean to us? And what were our favorite, whether it's mechanics, characters, storylines. It's going to be very different. So I'm eager to hear what y'all have to say.
Hey, Jerica, I feel like something about this vibe is wrong. I feel like maybe we could zhuzh up the visual for our Twitch viewers, for our YouTube viewers. If you're listening later, I think we should maybe go to the dock or whatever is
this where we use the Riz button? Is that what the kids say? Is there a Riz button?
Everybody, Riz button engaged. We're in the Lost Records box art or whatever this is with a little spotlight twist. How about that?
Fancy budget.
I almost forgot to do this until just now.
Very proper now. Look at us hanging out with the girls.
Come on, we're all part of the girls.
Yeah, we're part of the girls club.
We need to talk about this image in the spoiler section too.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
What a great wallpaper.
Yeah.
And podcast background. Okay. Yes. I cannot wait. I really can't wait to talk about the story with y'all because it was right up my alley. But before we get too deep in it, I want to talk about, our previous experiences with games similar to this. So, with Don't Nod, I think of Life is Strange, obviously. But going into this new game, and we got a lot of information about it before it even came out. Don't Nod working on it. Would you say you were hoping for another Life is Strange or something different from Don't Nod?
I was really hoping for something different. Like, I like Life is Strange a lot. I've played all of them but 2. And I think I've played between them and Deck 9. Like, I think I've played all the games that they've released except 2, including like other franchises and stuff. At least like in the modern era, since the first Life is Strange released. And I have been kind of itching for a bit of a new formula or like a bit of a new vibe, because I liked Double Exposure, but it left me wanting more. I feel like I like that they kind of introduced a few different mechanics in the story and like the multiple realities was cool, but I still kind of walked away from that wishing for more. And I feel like I got that with Lost Records, where like I still being the dual timeline thing of there being the girls in the past, the girls in the present, but with like the camera specifically as the main character Swan, it brought in a lot of new stuff and new mechanics that we haven't seen from Don't Nod before that for me really gelled well.
I agree. And like with even speaking to the camera was probably one of the bigger surprises of like how much fun that actually turned into for me. I didn't think I would like get into capturing every moment. But I know Josh specifically too. Josh, I know you are an avid Don't Nod fan. You've talked about it on the show before with me.
Yeah.
And also like you've shared a lot of tidbits of like with the music and some people like that had worked on the original Life is Strange worked on this game. What do you have to share? Like, what did you expect going into it?
Well, this is, I would consider, I guess, one of my fandoms. So I sometimes, obviously, in any fandom, you're kind of biased. So I'm already saying like, oh, I'm going to like this game before I'm even like trying the thing. But essentially, what happened briefly, I don't know are you talking about Don't Nod a little bit?
Yeah, like
just real
with
briefly,
knowing what you know, yeah.
The creator, Michel Coq, and there's different ways to pronounce it. They're French. A lot of these creators are French. And then the writer is Jean-Luc. When they formed Don't Nod, they're a small team. They needed money. So obviously at some point Square started publishing them. They didn't own the IP to Life is Strange. They didn't own their own IP. So they created Life is Strange. Michel and Jean-Luc, they hand in hand created Life is Strange 1, Captain Spirit, Life is Strange 2. But they saw a vision for Don't Nod and they want to expand. And so it wasn't like a big fallout with Square, their publisher, but they just, didn't see eye to eye on things, and they wanted to own their own company and do their own publishing. That's why, what's that game Kayla was playing that just came out published by them?
Banisters. No.
Well,
No,
that's
it
another
like
one.
just came out.
Yeah, Koira there. She's Kayla.
Yeah,
Just said,
Quera. Yeah.
So yeah, you're starting to see now some of the results of them kind of breaking away from Square Enix. And so what happened is when they broke away, these are all the creators of Life is Strange, but it's sort of like a George Lucas Disney situation. They don't own Life is Strange anymore, and so this is when Deck Nine steps in because they had worked on Before the Storm, and so they started doing True Colors, and so now you have kind of two teams pumping out similar Life is Strange type games. So even though this feels like a Life is Strange game, it totally could be one. It is the same creators, but a different, they don't have the IP. So they've talked about in interviews how, depending on how this goes, they want to see like if they could do something similar and kind of have like an expanded universe of this. So
I think it was a smart move. Like, I'll compare it a little bit to like Stranger Things. Cause like when I first saw the trailer, like I thought surely like, okay, they're going to lean into,
Sure.
teenage friends getting into, supernatural elements, whatever. And they, I'm still excited about it, but I was like, I don't know if this will land. Do we have too much of this vibe
I totally
already?
get that because and I say this as I'm sitting in a room of retro games, I'm making like retro content. Sometimes the nostalgia focus is a little bit I don't know, disingenuine. Like disingenuous. Like it just sometimes nostalgia for nostalgia's sake feels forced. They did also mention in interviews how a lot of nostalgia, like Stranger Things, is built in the 80s. And for a lot
Yeah.
of people who grew up in the 90s, we actually haven't had that was me. Technically I was born in the 80s, but I don't remember the 80s. I was like a baby, right? So my nostalgia is more like 90s based, similar to like some of you, maybe even like late 90s or even early 2000s. And so this kind of hits on that nostalgia a little more, but I think they portrayed it really well. It doesn't feel like super forced. There's of course like little nods, there's like a video rental store and like all this stuff, but it doesn't feel like the game is just a nostalgia showcase.
I would agree. Yeah.
But I definitely feel your point with it being in the 90s. I think that's why it definitely hit harder with me. And I was like, oh shit, this is sort of cool to see this kind of experience or story in this time frame. Because to be honest, like I haven't experienced a lot of games where it does take place in the 90s. And what a better developer to like really create a world like this than Dontnod. Because literally, I don't know about y'all. I was looking at objects, picking them up, turning them around. Did they sometimes reveal a secret? Rarely, but I love the sound effects. It was very satisfying.
I
Like
like
you
that.
pick up the Tamagotchi and
We'll
just
just
like
shake
rotate
things.
it and then like actually interact with it and then like picking up her like medicine or her
Yes.
swan. We'll get to it later with character swans like I don't know, just little knickknacks and they'd rattle and make the right sounds. It was just really cool. It was like a 90s museum walking around. And I think that's what took me so long to finish Tape One was just exploring this world.
One
So
thing I
yeah,
wanted to ask you about the 90s museum, which I did talk to Kayla about, which is have any of you in this game or just in real life been able to see those magic eye pictures?
I have before and I couldn't in the game.
You know where it's like did you see any of those patches like on the shelf?
Yeah. There's one toward the very end of the game that maybe
We can
I
talk
don't
about
want
it
to.
later.
Yeah, we can talk about it later. But
Are you
I
able to see
forgot
those?
about them.
Yeah.
So no, I don't like when I looked at that. I was like, what am I looking at? So I don't think I can.
So we could talk about it later because there's some spoilers related to it. So I can reveal to you some of this.
Oh,
I was
thank
obsessed
God.
with that
I couldn't
stuff.
see it. I tried real
'Cause
hard.
I would buy the Magic Eye books. I had those books exactly like she had. I'd have the books. When Kayla finished the end, I'm doxing her. She texted me and was like, What was the Magic Eye picture? Because she knows that I could see them,
I love
I'm
that.
like a nerd like that. When the 3DS was coming out, people would release YouTube videos of like side by side footage where you have to go cross-eyed to like watch it in 3D on YouTube. So I'd be like sitting there on YouTube like cross-eyed, like watching like 3DS videos. And so yeah, we can talk about the Magic Eye, but she does have a Magic Eye book in her room, and the very first image on it when you start the game is it's like a stag, like a deer with horns, a buck. A buck.
Oh. So you look at it and like there's something in your brain that just like you can just see a stag.
It's not like those colorblind tests where you look at it and like you can see it or you can't. You have to like move your eyes
It's based
like
on
cross-eye.
Oh,
And
I wasn't crossing my eyes.
you kind of cross-eye
I was
them,
doing this.
and what happens is it moves some of the patterns together, and then some of it pops out into like a shape.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'm trying to
Yeah.
like I'm looking at my other monitor.
You got to
like, trying
practice it.
trying to go cross eyes
But
over
that
here.
was just a very even having that included in there was like a very nostalgic thing for me because I used to love those books and just flipping through them.
Yeah. Late from lunch, first time chatter. Thanks for being here. Says, OMG, I used to love those eye
Hey.
puzzles.
Well, the chest side again. Now that I know, I need to cross my eyes a little bit more.
Yeah.
Do you think the split release did anything good or bad for this game? Like for me, it didn't really matter, and I almost forgot about it. So I'm glad it wasn't. They didn't wait too long. But yeah, what did y'all think about like having to wait for tape 2?
It really negatively impacted my experience, unfortunately.
Okay.
And like I want to be fair to the game. Honestly, part of it was also blueprints. Like I'm still just so into blueprints that I would be playing and like the plot wouldn't be progressing as quickly as I wanted it in tape 2 and be like, I really want to try to find this other room in blueprints. I'm going to just go do that instead. And so it might be a little my ultimate opinion might be a little unfair, but I did because I was so hot on it after tape 1, and I'm not like not hot on it after tape 2, but I was surprised at how much I wasn't enjoying tape 2 for the first like third of it because I had lost all that momentum. And like it's not that I'd forgotten anything. I don't think it was detrimental from a plot standpoint, but I think I would have enjoyed my experience more had I waited to play tape 1 until all of it came out.
I will say, I'm generally a defender of episodic games. I do kind of agree with you though. In this specific instance, it didn't do much for me personally, but even like, TV shows now, they all just come out at once, but I'm enjoying like Last of Us where it's like each week you have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And so conceptually, I like the idea, even like with Life is Strange, but they've had problems with this the whole time. They've had delays like with every single one of their episodic games practically.
Yeah.
And so I wish they could nail it eventually. Without getting too much into spoilers for this, I did appreciate how the first tape is kind of like Bloom and the second one is like Rage, and there's like a clear kind of a theme going on.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of fun to step into like a different tone, like totally like 2 months later, but it was a little bit long of a gap, and I don't know, it probably would have been just as effective if you just put them together, which most people will now.
Yeah.
I'm in the boat with both of you. I felt that even, I remember I finished, and I think I only finished because it was shorter, which was, it sounds like a positive thing, but I was tape 1, I feel like took me at least a couple hours longer. I don't know. I didn't
Yeah, it was
look
like
at
9 hours for me for tape 1 and like 5 for tape 2.
Yeah, tape 2 is
Okay,
about
so
half.
yeah, big difference.
Yeah.
And because of my experience with the first tape and the story and what was going on, I was sort of not let down from tape 2, but like there was a momentum like going in like that I had with 1 that I definitely didn't have the second time going back to it. And also my damn camera just keeps running out of space. And I'm hoping at some point, I thought, oh, in this part in tape 2, maybe I get another tape to use, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't.
Oh, that's funny. I never ran out of I didn't realize that. So you had to like go delete files and stuff?
Yeah, it was
I never ran into that.
very annoying. I was like, oh, I know this is a realistic, situation with a camcorder, but God, it's a game.
You're
Let
meaning
me
like
record as much as I want.
in tape 1, maybe you filled up like all of Nora or something.
Yeah, I
And,
did.
okay,
I
see what
did
you're
do
saying.
that. Yeah.
And then then in tape 2, you're having to like you want to get some of those moments. Is that what you're talking about?
It just my camcorder kept telling me I'm out of space, dude.
You know,
it
it
probably
sounds
was
like
just me.
Yeah, I think that's not that for the memoirs. I don't think Josh is what she's saying. I think she just
Okay.
physically ran out of space.
I didn't run out of space, but
Yeah.
I felt like I was
Yeah,
recording a lot.
I'm just saying, yeah. And then like I'd complete the memoirs, and even with that, and like I feel like those don't take up space because at that point they're part of that.
Right.
Sure.
But no, like I just kept having
How
the
funny.
camera. Like it was it was messing up my experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was wanting a little bit more to tape 2.
Late from
I'm
lunch
glad it
says,
was.
I wonder if it's tied to how much free space you have on the console.
No, I got
I don't
plenty of
know.
space. No, it's not. That would be pretty cool.
That would be funny though.
It would be neat. But no, I just kept running out. I was just documenting so much, and I like making movies in this world.
Yeah.
I'll admit something that's a little embarrassing. I I love making the movies clip, and it's like boom, new memoir unlocked, I never really went back to watch them until later. Before I beat it, I watched, but when I figured out when you watch them, there's it's narrated by Swan.
Yeah.
So it's definitely you got to watch those.
Yeah, they're
You
good.
don't just make them; you got to watch them.
I also found I was like I loved the tape, or I loved videotaping in tape 1, but I didn't really do it much in tape 2 because I also found that it felt really novel at the beginning. Is oh, this is cute, it's a fun different thing of seeing through this other lens, but I'm just not a very good recording artist, I guess, and so it always looked like shit and janky, and the cuts were it wasn't appealing to watch. And so I would go back and watch them. It's this is a dog shit video. This is so bad. And so I kind of stopped doing it as much because it never looked as good as I wanted it to. And I kind of wish that they had taken the reins a little bit and edited it to where okay, we have this footage we're going to add in, because especially by the end, I don't think it would be a spoiler to say there's some recap footage of what you've captured in tape 2 from tape 1. And it's it'd been a month since I played it. I kind of wish that they had just done their own thing. I wouldn't have known that it wasn't the stuff I filmed. It would have been nice to have a developer's version instead of a Patrick version, because the Patrick version
accessibility.
You
want an accessibility feature. Yeah. That's funny.
So
Coleman says his music video was pretty good though. My music video was so bad.
I'm the opposite of you. I was kind of impressed because I felt at the time I was I don't know. I was doing I would move or do little pans or zooms. It was like George Lucas in Star Wars Episode 2 figuring out you could zoom for the first time.
Yeah.
Zooming in. And so by the time some of those cuts, I was like, man, did I do this? I was the opposite of you. I was like, is this a dev thing? Or did I do this? I was kind of impressed.
I was panning, I was zooming, I was doing the severance, you back up and you zoom at the same time. And they never looked good for me.
I don't know. I remember one time too when I was recording, and Josh, you might have more info on this. And since we're still on just talking about the camcorder in general, I would have these little mystical things show up. Did y'all like purple blobs show up on her camera?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that ever got explained.
It's not directly. Well, we can. It's not directly addressed, but there's a paranormal aspect to this game, and some things related to that don't really show up, or they interfere with the camera. Yeah.
Was there
I think it's kind of light spoilery before we get into full spoilers. I think it's Abyss related. Right. I think those blobs.
Yes.
So I wasn't, I've seen the trailer. I think all of us have watched the initial trailer. So I'm I knew something was spooky, was maybe happening, or weird or strange, but I didn't know was it aliens? What kind of magic are we dealing with? What's happening in this forest? And even in tape 1, we don't even get to that point. But early on, specifically thinking about tape 1, was there a specific moment or instance that made you think okay, this is more than just another Life is Strange magic, the character having abilities? It was something different. Is there any moment that you can remember that made you think, okay, this is going to be a different kind of story?
I think for me, it's exactly what you're talking about, but kind of opposite, where I didn't watch too much coming up to this, but I remember just the trailer. And so I thought it was more of a paranormal game, right? And even Life is Strange, it starts off pretty heavy with rewinding time powers and all this stuff. The focus about the gameplay mechanics and everything in a lot of the Donut games are very weird powers or paranormal stuff. So based on the trailer and some of the marketing, I thought this was a paranormal kind of game. And so I was actually surprised in tape 1 that it kind of wasn't really at all. There's a few little things that happen, but for the most part, that's what surprised me, that the story was trying to tell is really more broadly applicable and grounded. It was a little more grounded than I was expecting.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest criticisms of it by the end of it, is that because with tape 1, you really don't start to get anything paranormal until the last moment. And then it's there's more of it in tape 2, but still not nearly as much as I would have expected. And I wish that there had been more of that. And now I'm to kind of hint at our spoiler conversation again. I'm excited for what could come next now, but I do really wish that they had kind of leaned in to it a bit more. But I'd only really watched like the one trailer
Me
and
too,
not
yeah.
anymore. So I didn't necessarily, it took me a while until I realized I was like, oh, there is more here, which when it finally happened, I was like, not that I was having a very good time, but I was like, ooh, this is really exciting to see that this has another whole layer to it. So that was cool.
Well, I think I sort of like, if y'all are cool with it, we can
Yeah.
sort of get into it. I don't think this last time I played, like specifically Tape 2, like I know they put out some like updates for the game, but I know when I initially started playing Tape 1, I had some issues trying to run it on my PC, and then I ended up swapping back to PlayStation. So I'm a weirdo. I'm a sucker. I'm the lame-o that wants better frame rate. And I know Don't Nod and other Life is Strange like games are notorious for just like they're going to lock it at 30 FPS,
Yeah.
which is fine because they want the quality and the characters and everything to feel really natural and real. But I was a little bit bummed that there wasn't a performance mode. But overall, like through my playthrough, especially on PS5, I had no issues with the game running. Like it was, besides the 30 FPS, it was great.
I had a
Did y'all-
few minor things in Tape 2 actually. So it made me wonder if their quality check was a little, I know it got delayed. Tape 2 got delayed. So it wasn't anything like that broke it, but there was some weird things with like fabrics getting caught strange and like flying out on objects and stuff that
Like, is that a part of the game or not?
I don't know. Maybe, yeah. Tape 1, no issues at all. Tape 2, a few little like hiccups here and there, but yeah, I mean, overall the game looked really good, I would say.
I don't think I was able to capture this. I had a lot of issues with Tape 2, but the main thing, I'm wondering if it's the same thing that Coal Mines had. Coal Mines says they only had technical issues with some late texture pop-ins sometimes. And with part 2, there was this like black figured ghost avatar that would pop in throughout the entire.
Maybe that's intentional. Maybe,
but it'd be like
it's haunted.
I'd be doing like what they did with that Netflix or Black Mirror episode where everyone got apparently 2 different versions. Like,
wait, that's intentional?
Wait, I didn't have that.
Shit.
What do we mean that's intentional?
Wait, Kayla's saying yes.
There's no. Are we?
I didn't have that at all.
There's no like. They don't ever explain it in any capacity. It just. I don't think it's intentional. I think you also had the bug, Kayla. I could be wrong. I want to be wrong because I was like, what?
What platform were you playing on, Patrick?
PlayStation 5.
Okay,
but I'd be like, I'd be in this room like looking around, and then there would be, or there would be a transition. This is why I think it was a bug and not intentional. It'd be like mid transition. It'd be like, oh, we're leaving this barn and we're going into this new area, and like in the background in the woods this like just flash of a human pops up, but it's like there's no color to it, it's just like an outline.
I've never had that.
That's terrifying.
And I happened but I mean it's like throughout the entire game. I never noticed it in Tape 1. I guess it's just more apparent in Tape 2. Okay, so maybe it is intentional.
We're gonna look into this. If you join the Discord, you can see what our results are.
I'm gonna do some quick Googling while we talk about the next thing.
Yeah. Strange. I'm gonna have to go back and see if like maybe I just missed it.
Maybe my choices just were such where I didn't. If it's intentional, maybe it's like certain choices affect it. Maybe I literally no, I didn't see anything like that.
Well, I also want to please the listeners and viewers, just so if you are like, oh, I want to listen to what they want to say about what they feel about this game. We're gonna quickly give it a rating without spoiling the story. So that way, when you go and play the game after hearing what we've said already about it, and hearing our reviews, you can come back to this episode and go through the spoiler cast with us and go on this journey. If this shadowy figure that appears in Patrick's
it is intentional. I'm learning.
I've got to look into this.
I'm
learning.
I
missed out.
I'll read this Reddit post.
I missed out.
What the hell?
Yeah. Well, okay. So I retract. I didn't have that much. I had some other like glitchy type stuff in Tape 2, but I thought that was a bug, but it was not. How
I didn't notice it.
This is my sincere apology to both Kayla and Coal Mines for
you're gaslighting them.
Yeah, I didn't. I unintentionally tried to gaslight you, and I was wrong.
Crazy.
Okay, now that we know that wasn't a bug, what's your score, Patrick?
I think
1 to 5.
Yeah, I think I landed on a 4. I think after tape 1, I was at a 4.5, but I think I landed a 4. I think this game does a lot of really cool things. I think the characters are so lovable. I think I like from beat 1, I'm so in on these girls and this story that's happening. I love the jumping between time situation of the girls in the present day trying to figure out like what happened in the past. I think there's a lot of really good shit here, and I think I can't wait to see where they go from here. I think ultimately, I just had some pacing issues and some, like I said earlier, like I wish they leaned into the paranormal a lot more than they do. But I think this is totally worth playing. Like I saw Heroic Headgear in the chat was waiting for it all to come out. Is it worth playing? I think this is absolutely worth playing, especially if you like this type of game. Your Life is Strange is like those kinds of games. I think you'll really like this. I think this was a strong 4 out of 5 for me.
Hell yeah. Josh, what's the official High
If
Score
I-
Weekly
if-
review?
Yeah, if I was like part of a review organization or something, I'd
Mhm.
probably give it a 4 out of 5. For me, I'm giving it a 5.5 for me personally.
Whoa.
Yes, there's a couple, like Patrick said, I agree everything you said. There's a couple of pacing issues, a few things, but we'll talk about it more near the end. As I alluded to at the beginning, how this game messed me up, just how it personally kind of sat with me and hit me. And this is why I love their game so much. And Jean-Luc as a writer and Michelle as a director, they don't miss. And this one didn't miss for me. And so just for my personal going off vibes, going on how it affected me, I'm giving it a 5 out of 5.
Ooh,
Love to see it.
heard it here first, folks. The first official High Score Weekly, like official review. I don't know
Yeah,
who's reviewed
that's
other
right.
stuff, but we're just gonna say this is the first.
I
one that
think we're
you've
gonna
done
say
here.
this is your first official review.
It probably
here.
is.
Twitch.tv/Spotlight
go.
Games. Jerica, what about you?
I'm at a 4 to 5 as well. There's just a couple of things we'll get into later, like story-wise, and even in some of the openness and of the world itself, sort of I feel like the game got a little constrained in some places.
It's a bit claustrophobic.
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. But like talking about this new look at coming of age story, you know, it's at first glance you think Stranger Things, but when you actually sit down to play it, you're like, no, this is something different. This is new. I agree with Patrick. I wish we had some of the weirdness up front, because I'm gonna be honest, like like going through it, I was like, is it all in someone's head, or is there actually any like creepy stuff happening in this game, or is this what it is, and it's going to be more of a, I don't know, an artistic novel where emotions are seen through these
I know what you're
elements.
saying.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I
So
definitely do.
like, so I wish it would have been a little bit sooner, because I didn't know for sure if this was going to go supernatural or not. But when it did, it had a pretty good payoff. It was unique enough, but just a couple of those things we will talk about later that I would wish were different.
Yeah.
Would have made it a 5 out of 5, but right now 4 out of 5. And probably since I enjoyed this more than True Colors. Like, it's been a while since
Really?
I've truly enjoyed, you know, whether it's Don't Nod or Deck 9, like one of those games. It's been a while. Like, the last fan favorite of mine was Life is Strange 2.
Okay.
And
I gotta play that. I
you gotta
hear
play it.
a lot of people
not-
really love 2.
It is
I gotta play
good. It's
2.
different, but it is good.
Josh
Yeah.
actually convinced me to get back
Yeah.
into it.
I
'cause
was like, you have to.
I was
Cool.
like,
I know
don't
there's not
I'm gonna miss-
lesbians, but you have to.
I know, like, there's no lesbians. My girls aren't there. But no, I fell in love with the brothers too. So yeah, if you haven't
Okay.
played Life is Strange 2, you're missing out. Like, that's a good one.
I will say, you saying like comparing it to True Colors, I think this is like my second favorite now of all of their games. True Colors is my favorite.
That one didn't vibe with me.
Yeah, I loved it so much. I loved all the characters in that one and the story. But yeah, I think this is like sitting pretty strongly in the 2 spot for me. I think there's a pretty big gap between this and whatever I would rank at number 3.
Yeah. All right, let's
it
let
time?
down. It's let down the wall. We're spoiler free ahead, y'all. Arg. Spoiler me, matey.
Spoiler
Wait, yeah.
filled ahead, not
said
spoiler free.
spoiler-free.
I'm so sorry, man.
I'm ready to spoil this.
Oh,
So
God.
can we start with this shadow figure?
Yeah.
Do you have any images of it?
You know what?
I
didn't have it. Yeah,
There's any screenshots. Like,
Yeah,
I want the people to see. We want to know, like, okay, this was not a bug. It was a real thing, and I missed it.
Here, let me do this. Let me open that in a new tab and then Open.
I'm going to read Colemind's
image.
comment while you look for that.
Perfect.
Colemind says, now that spoilers are allowed, the shadowy figures and purple interference captures on Swan's camera was basically the abyss leaking into the world and trying to attract and guide the girls to it. It closed after Kat entered it, so you know its main goal was to capture a girl in it. That is the read I got in general without the shadowy figures. I myself knew nothing of these shadowy figures, so I'm wondering what choices trigger that, or if I was just totally like oblivious. I don't think I was. I noticed certain things like that, I would think.
Yeah, let me do that.
Kayla says, I saw the shadowy figure not on the camera in present too, or not only on the camera.
So here, let me zoom in a little bit more because
I didn't see any shadowy figures. I wonder if my game was just messed up.
So according to Reddit, this is supposed to be Corey because Corey falls into the abyss at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And this is him like kind of
I wonder though,
through.
and we can get to this toward the end. All those options with the different things with Corey, I got the 5% global option.
Which one was that?
So my option at the very end, this is jumping ahead a little for people, but at the end of the game, they show you all the choices you made. And at the very, very end, what happens with Corey on mine is that, he's all mad, whatever. He has red eyes and like it seems like he's possessed by something. He's kind of raging. And what happens is the option says something like the girls unite in harmony to make the abyss take Corey. And what happens on mine is that they all join hands and they start kind of like doing like witchy chanting stuff. And he raises up into the sky, and Dylan's like, what like is going on? And Corey just like gets flung and just sucked in. And they're like doing like some witchy, like witchcraft stuff.
Whoa. So they don't interact with him at all. He just gets
not
like
really. There is a point
void.
right before that where Swan kind of goes to like shove him or something, but he doesn't fall in at that point for me. And then they pull Swan back, and then they all like join together in unity, all four of them, and they're like chanting something, and then he like raises up and like gets sucked in.
That sounds like maybe the true ending.
So, but when I looked at the global percentages, that was only 5% of players.
Oh wow!
So I don't know like what I did.
Cool. But yeah, I guess specifically the shadow figure is Cole, or Corey, not Cole.
Yeah.
Cole's in the chat. But that's
push
cool.
him in there.
I had no idea.
Does this happen after? I don't know. It might be different in some of your playthroughs. Maybe is that? What if that shows up after he's been, like fallen in? Is that?
Did you play? I think it's like a weird time thing where
right?
like
it's like a foreshadowing.
Yeah. It's like it's maybe crosses like time sort of thing. That's my read on it.
Which now knowing that makes sense because the camera falls into the abyss.
Yeah.
But is there later in the present day in the box and stuff. So it was, this is a bit timey-wimey. Okay. I like that a lot, actually. That helps me.
You thought it was a glitch. You thought it was a texture glitch.
I did. I really did.
They made it look a little different, from the picture, like one, I didn't even notice it. Did I even have that in my playthrough? I don't know.
Interesting. Colemine said the shouty figures were always Cat and Corey shaped for me. So, because there's some instances where Cat goes into it. So with mine, at the end, Corey gets drawn in, but they all wake up, it's sealed, and Cat's still with them at my ending. She doesn't actually go in there. At the end, when they promise not to see each other or whatever, she kind of gives herself to it, I guess. But I wonder, I didn't see any shadows because of how mine played out.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Well, we kind of talked about this a little bit backwards, but Jerica, is there a certain order you wanted to go in?
No, like I think this is fine because like I feel like this whole game will make you think backwards.
Yeah,
now.
Right.
I'm like, gosh, we got a magical hole that travels through space and time. So
yeah.
A lot of whole games this year, you know what I mean?
A lot of whole games.
Yeah.
But yeah, talking about the characters and like us. One thing I would be interested in hearing, like, were you surprised at all, like, when, especially in tape 2, like where we're going into a rage situation, everyone's raging, there's a lot of things to be mad at, like seeing some of the differences between your characters, or even, and we'll get to this later, like the alternate timeline, like from the character you knew in tape 1 and maybe the 90s timeline versus present day timeline, like any character differences stand out to you? Any favorite characters in general?
I really struggled with Nora. I feel like I got the short end of the stick with this game with choices I didn't realize I was making because like I know Coal Mines was saying that he really loved Nora's character. Nora, like for me, leaves at the end, like in the present day, and doesn't stick around and is just like very standoffish the entire time. But then she's so nice in the flashback. So it's like I struggled whenever I play this again, or if I do at some point, I want to follow like a choices guide and get it to where I get like the best relationship with everybody. Cause I feel like that's probably just a better, well-rounded experience because I ended up being like totally alone by the end.
My gosh. See, that would destroy me even
And
worse.
it was,
Same.
and like that
I
also
was-
kind of feeds into my score where like I didn't really love the way this game ends because I was.
What's
fucking
crazy is they were
alone.
all with me at the end. We're like opening the box together, like they're all there.
Damn.
Yeah,
Oh
no,
my
not me.
God.
I was alone.
I was
for-
alone too.
No.
Spoiler alert for my own.
Yeah.
I was
No.
alone. But I didn't hate
Kayla said
the
she was
ending,
alone
though.
too. What are you guys doing?
It wasn't
I
that
thought-
sad though.
You got to be
know?
smooching.
I was
It just-
smooching. I was maybe that was
okay,
my problem,
okay.
smooching all these girls. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
sure.
I'm
I
like,
almost
these
wonder about
all-
that. Like,
They're all great.
because since it's canon that Nora really likes Kat, so I did wonder like if Swan gets too romantically involved with either Nora or Kat, it messes with that dynamic. Maybe that affected your future Nora.
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, like just getting into it. Like, of course, me played as Swan. I'm like, Swan is gonna be a ladies gal.
lady.
Oh yeah.
And I knew quickly, I was like, okay, I love that every single one of these friends can be, into
Romance.
girls. It reminds me literally of growing up in high school with my friends that were all like, oh, we're going to go hang out with our boyfriends. And all of us are lesbians now, by the way.
Amazing.
So they tend to group
Something
up
in the water.
and mingle and make creepy music videos. So, which is funny because I did that with my friends in
Kayla
high
said the
school.
old switcheroo.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I loved all of the characters, and yeah, like Nora in my playthrough specifically, like she was married and had a business.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it was the situation with her, but I definitely like tried to romance her, and then ended up, I ended up Kat just sort of won me over pretty quickly.
Yeah, I didn't actually get to kiss Kat, but I danced with Kat toward the end, and I guess
I
that
feel like that messed up your Nora. I think I'm wondering if that's why your Nora left in the present, because you basically took her lady.
yeah, maybe. I feel like there was never any like
I don't know.
conversation happening of like her being upset with the situation. I don't know. It's weird, but that could be it for sure.
Yeah, it sort of threw me for a loop that literally any of them you could be closer friends with. And I was like, oh no, this is going to be tough for old Jerica because I think they're all wonderful. Why can't we all just get along?
Sure. Coal Mines asks in the chat, did you read the text on her phone when she went outside in tape 2? I didn't. I tried to interact with it, and by the time I did, it wouldn't let me anymore. But
Damn.
apparently her wife alludes to filing for
crazy.
divorce when
I actually didn't pick up her phone because I was worried my relationship was, because she is cold no matter what I think of the present. So I was really trying to like fix that. And so I felt like if I touched her phone, maybe she'd come back or something.
Sure.
So I did not.
I think her future self, Nora's future self, like surprised me the most with like how different she was.
Very different.
Were there any other characters that did that for y'all?
I think like you're saying, that's the biggest difference was Nora's like this free spirit. She's the most kind of, I don't know if bubbly is a word, but she's the most like, she's a hype gal. She's
got charisma for
got
sure.
the charisma. She's kind of the singer
Spunky.
and like
Ready to go.
And it is kind of crazy. Then you see that present version of her, and it's this. You can see it's a sad. There's a sadness there, and it's not just because of maybe the shared trauma you guys had, but it's just maybe the life she's found herself in doesn't seem fulfilling to her. And this is part of what I want to talk about as far as like how it started affecting me, which is the difference between the past and the present. And Kayla earlier was saying like, oh, this game is kind of like peak girlhood. And I do think obviously the girlhood aspect does play into this, but I also think just it's really applicable to like just childhood in general, because I see myself in some of my childhood friend groups, how you don't have that much cares in the world, but everything is also like seems like such a big deal to you at that time.
Yeah.
And and it's like your friendships are so like flames almost, right? It's just so like intense. And this really, I think, did a good job of showing that. And then whenever you go to the present, you've kind of split off from your friends and you've been living this different lives. And even if you were to just ignore like the paranormal stuff, ignore the stuff with Kat, I think it's just a really good realistic depiction of that, how as people go in different directions and you get different relationships, you get different jobs, you find yourself in different situations, like it kind of changes who all of you are. And then you're looking back at those times and you can kind of see the way you were and you're still in there. But I don't know, I just loved how that kind of interplayed.
I did too. I also really loved how they kind of like at the beginning of the game, Swan kind of doesn't really have friends. And
Yes.
it's this like her finally finding a group of friends and like the impact that has on her, which even though I felt disappointed that by the end of it I was alone, there was something like nicely like circular about that of like there's the people around you like aren't kind of the only thing that define who you are, kind of thing. It would have been nice for the girlhood to stay a little bit longer than it did and not be abandoned like I was.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought surely at some point we'd leave the bar and like go to a hotel and have a party. You know what I'm like saying? Like take the box somewhere else other than the bar. I was hoping like to change the environment of future timeline a little
Yeah.
bit because like obviously in the 92 timeline or whatever, I forget what year it actually is, but early 90s timeline, you get to definitely explore more locations. The areas are a little bit larger to
Yeah, the
scope
present,
out.
you're just locked into that room basically.
Yeah, and then that
For
part was a
sure.
little bit of a bummer because I was hoping in tape 2 we'd get
Me too.
more instances of that, and we
I
didn't.
get that. I get that.
Yeah, and like I felt like toward the end it finally pans out and you're third person as present day Swan.
Yeah,
I
the
felt
reveal, face reveal.
I felt
Yeah.
like they wanted that to be like a moment, like a pivotal moment. And for me, it was like, I just wish it had been like this the whole time. It would have been more
Oh,
for me.
I
You're
thought there
right. It
was gonna be
wasn't like that crazy. It was like, oh, it just looks like older her. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, she just has long hair. I was expecting
Oh.
like, not really, but it was like, what is like have her face
Yeah,
burnt
yeah,
off
yeah.
or something? Like, what
yeah,
is this?
like
But
I've been so sad. Like, oh God, what happened?
yeah. Phantom of
Uh,
the Michelsons.
yeah. All right. Any other characters you can think of that they surprised you or didn't surprise you
I
or
think
like?
for me, the last part about characters, like it did take me a while with this one. Like we talked about, like me and Patrick just kind of watched the trailer and then I just jumped right in. And I guess I didn't realize how much like Life is Strange or like a Don't Nod game this would be. I should have known. And so it actually took me a while to even realize that I had like separate like relationships with all these people. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's so obvious now, like, but initially it took me like most through tape 1 where I was like, oh wait, like I realize now like this is affecting things. And by the time
Sure.
I got to the end of tape 1, I was kind of freaking out because my relationship meters at the end of tape 1 was like pretty low. And I was like, oh no. And part of it is I did gravitate towards Autumn just because for most of tape 1, you're talking to her in the present and you have a lot of opportunity in the past to connect with Autumn a lot. And so my relationship ended up being focused really heavily on Autumn and pretty
Mm-hmm.
much neglected Kat and Nora a lot in tape 1. And so tape 2, I really tried to fix that some by balancing it out and paying more attention to Kat and Nora in tape 2, which I feel like I did a pretty good job. I got them bumped up a little. At least they stayed with me enough.
Sure. That makes
But
sense.
by the end, I was at the romantic level with Autumn, and so in the little dance scene where they all have this weird animation where they're like dancing all like this, basically. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like, do. In my dance scene, Kat and Nora have a moment and kiss, and then
Wow.
Autumn and Swan have a moment and kiss.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You had 2
Is
kisses
everybody
in your
kissing?
game?
Yeah, everyone's kissing.
Damn.
It was a
Ugh.
little
And then
party.
all of them turn heads and they all start kissing.
Yeah, all 4.
Whoa.
No. Yeah,
So you had a lot of kissing in your
I had a
game,
lot of
then.
kissing.
I
I had no kissing.
Wow.
0 kissing. Did you try to kiss anyone, Patrick? I can't remember.
It
what you
didn't
said.
give me the option. I guess I wasn't. It only let me dance with Kat. I was thinking
Okay.
because I chose pretty early on to start focusing on Kat, and so Actually pretty shocked that I didn't get that choice, because I feel like I never noticed a time where I was losing the relationship. But maybe there were just times where nothing happens, where if I had chosen a different thing, it would have then gotten better, perhaps. But yeah, so no kissing for me. As far as I can tell, Swan's never kissed anybody.
Sad.
Yeah.
I was trying to think if there was any other things around the romance that I want to touch on before I move on. If we think it's
Comite
something, just
says
bring it up.
Swan's appearance is affected by choices during the game, so they want to keep it hidden. That's interesting.
Oh wow. Okay.
Her
Well,
appearance can change.
Huh.
oh, I guess like there's the tattoo conversation. So
Yeah, I guess
sure. I wonder what else though.
So. Yeah.
Hmm.
Stuff.
What was your favorite moment
in the whole game?
Just of
In
the whole game.
Yeah, let's just get into it.
I should have been more prepared for that. It's
I really like,
or at least a moment that you're like, oh shit, I like this game a little bit more. Were there any moments like that, like favorite moment, or one that you're like, okay, this is a moment from this game I'll never forget?
Sure. I liked in the second tape when they're all like in the masks, that whole section.
I love the masks.
When you're like vandalizing the bar and running from Corey. Although I had some technical issues with the running from Corey, of like stuttering and that kind of thing. But regardless, it's like, oh, I like this kind of set piece, I guess you could call it. And the times like with the Abyss as well, like end of tape 1, and then like the Corey stuff with at the end of tape 2. I wish we got more Abyss in the game, because I liked anytime the Abyss was there, I really liked that.
Did y'all read like any of the documents like around the cabin, like sort of hinting at like other maybe people that have gone missing and they've been found, or the people that just like resided in
they're
that,
like cleaning the cabin? There's like a lot of that stuff.
I saw some of it, but I think there's probably a lot more that I didn't see.
I think I definitely missed a lot, but I try to pick up a few little things and like read. I also don't enjoy reading in games a lot, but some of it was interesting because I was just trying to figure out like the source of the Abyss and like what is it truly.
One thing that's interesting, if you want to keep going, you can.
No, go.
Just jump off what Patrick is saying. Like the Abyss, like I agree, needed a little more, but I kind of like how mysterious it was too. Are either of you familiar with Junji Ito Uzumaki? It's a manga. And
I'm not familiar with this.
Basically, it's a well-known body horror kind of manga, but the town gets obsessed with these spirals that just start appearing everywhere, and they just become obsessed with it and whatever. And it reminded me of that, especially in tape 2. This is some of my favorite stuff, because I don't know if you noticed it, but little rings would just start appearing like everywhere, all over the place, more and more. Even like in the present, there's like more drink stains on the table, just like a little ring on the table. Or in Swan's room, she like laid a coffee cup down or something, and there'd be like a little coffee cup ring stain. Or in her notebook, she started like drawing like more spirals. And I love this idea of like, it's almost like this borrowing from cosmic horror, where there's just something affecting everyone and they're not even maybe aware of it. And it's just like starting to like appear in weird ways. And I felt like by tape 2, even though we didn't get a lot of Abyss, I think they danced a fine line of like the writing of it, because I think they wanted to have this kind of unsettlingness to it without having to like over explain it. And maybe it was more or less successful for different people, but I loved how you could kind of tell it is trying to, the girls see it as almost like this magical, like fairy circle, like la 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 kind of a witchy thing. Like, ooh, this is our coven house and there's this weird abyss. Let's throw these, like make a wish down there, like whatever. They see it as like this benevolent thing, but it's evil. I got evil vibes from this thing. And you could definitely tell it was trying to pull them either into it or just like be an influence on them. And especially Swan, I don't know if you guys had certain choices. There's certain choices and certain discussions when you're around the Abyss where you can kind of say like, oh yeah, I heard something, or oh yeah, I'm feeling weird. And I feel like Swan, then when you're like in her room in certain points, you can start seeing this. This brings me up back to the magic eye. When in tape 1, when you look at the magic eye on her shelf, it's a buck with horns that's like 3D popping out of it. And I think at the beginning of tape 2 or whatever, when you go back to the book, she looks at it and she's like, oh, wasn't this something different before? And if you do the magic eye on that, it's the Abyss. It's a ring that's on there.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it changed. It's almost like the Mandela effect or something. Like things are changing, like objects are changing. something's affecting it. And so I really, yeah, I think it could have used more, but I also love how mysterious it was and how it started to like get into everything.
I could definitely see, like, if we do get a sequel or a spiritual successor or whatever, I could see them expanding more on the Abyss then, which could be really like have a bigger impact of like, oh, because they kind of tease it in the first game and like obviously it plays a big part, but just not a whole lot. Like they're like Kayla, like the intentions are very ambiguous. I was wondering, like, are we gonna go like an Alan Wake 2 route here? Is there gonna be some like big twist about whatever? No, okay, not that. So yeah, I'm very interested to see where it goes from there, because it seems like they are holding stuff back for there to be more revealed later.
It almost definitely feels like, in a book 1 or something where like, you want to make sequels, but you want to leave all these hooks to like see what people think and what direction you want to take it. That's what it definitely feels a little safe, might not be the right word, but like, seems like they have some ideas, but want to see kind of like where things could go maybe.
Sure.
Do you think we see like, because obviously everyone's alive. No one, well,
maybe
could to be determined for Kate in my playthrough, obviously, with how that played out. I don't know, like, could you see them bringing in new characters, or could you see like another story, like specifically with this group of girls?
I can. I feel like I see a future in which Kat has plays a bigger part and isn't actually dead. Whether it's like she's still dead, but it's just like she is the Abyss or whatever it is. But like it seems like with the kind of the post credits thing, it seems like there's something more to be revealed about Kat in the Abyss and how like this box got to us, and like there's still some question marks. So I could definitely see that. I wonder if it would make sense to bring in more characters than these. I mean, I can see Dylan playing a much bigger role now, that especially, or at least for me, the way that my kind of Abyss ending happened, I didn't engage, and so Kat and Dylan push Corey in, and Dylan's like, fuck you, I'm never gonna love you or whatever, and pushes him in. So I could see Dylan being a bit more of a
that's cool
character. Yeah, I really liked that part.
That was cool. Yeah, I didn't have it.
That one felt, because I kept like, for me, that thread with Dylan like
it's like
the
a
game
abusive relationship.
And she starts like depending on certain how like certain dialogue choices between Swan and Dylan, she starts to kind of, she's like, you should really leave Dylan, and like you shouldn't let him treat you like that. And I kept like, anytime I had the choice to be like Corey sucks, I would. And so it was nice to see that outcome. But yeah, I could see Dylan playing a much bigger part in a second story for sure.
Did y'all help cut Kate's hair? I did. Or did
Kat's
you
hair?
let Kate, or sorry, yeah, Kat's, did you?
I offered, she wouldn't let me.
Let her, really? Because
Yeah,
like I could have said, hey, because
I
there's two
think
choices.
you guys were a little up higher on the Kat relationship than I was. I barely like squeaked in, I think, but I offered, and she wasn't mad. She was just like, oh no, that's something I gotta do or whatever.
Because it would have, I could have had her do it, or like empower her to do it herself, or cut her hair. And I was just trying to be a good friend. I was like, let me cut your hair. This is something I want to do. So that's interesting.
Yeah,
God, I wonder. I need to know the meter. So it seems like every one of the girls has like a meter of like, how is it Persona? I feel like I'm playing Persona. How big is their companion score? I forget the term, but like I need to know where I had it filled up to. And like, because it does sound like there's more than just a couple of decisions that come up in the game that will be different based on how much this person's invested in you or you're invested in them.
To circle back a little bit to Patrick about the future, they did say, like we were talking about earlier, how Don't Nod, this is their own IP, they control the future of it. They are kind of seeing how it goes, but they did say like this is Lost Records Bloom and Rage, but there could be other Lost Records games specifically, is what they said. So like it might not be these characters for the next one,
interesting.
but it could be in this world, kind of like Life is Strange 1 and 2. There are
other abysses elsewhere,
or
maybe.
other whatever the rules of this world kind of apply, perhaps. But I do think they did intentionally set it up where potentially we could see Cat again, we could see Swan again. I did think it was interesting when you approach the abyss as Swan in like the last epilogue, the option, the interact option, I noticed it said enter. It wasn't like look or whatever. It was specifically said enter. So I think that's very interesting. But one thing I beat this game at like 1 or 1:30 a.m. and I actually got legitimately creeped out like big time by that little scene with Kat on the VHS where she's like, help me, I'm in here or whatever. That really creeped me out. That is not Kat. I'm telling you, that's evil. That's the abyss. And so I think there's an interesting thread they left open where, they threw the camcorder in and it showed back up. And Swan's like, oh, weird. And we do know Dylan gave her, Kayla mentioned this, Dylan gives them the box because Kat gave Dylan the box and like made sure she would wait till like a certain time to give it to them. But the camcorder is from the abyss and it wants more people. And so I think there's still definitely more to explore with this abyss thing. And I think, Cat just is creepy. I don't know. It gave me like chills.
Speaking of the cabin, Colemine shared something earlier. He said, off topic, but a character named Celine is mentioned multiple times in some pages, talks about trying to open the hole in the woods, and she appeared in some of Swan's dreams. I think this, along with the end scene, hints heavily towards tape 3 or a sequel. I never got a single Celine anything.
I don't remember
is that
Celine, and I was reading a lot.
Is that the lady in? That's not the lady in the bar, like talking to the
no,
barkeep.
No, that's Pam.
But she does mention it too. She does mention, she's like, oh, do you guys see anything out there when you're kids? So like she knows like weird stuff.
Before we get to them real quick. Yeah, I never saw or heard of a Celine. I gotta go look that up now.
Okay,
I totally missed that.
Pam's a little weird too. Something's weird because there was that weird off scene, when you find that book and give it to her, and she's just like, it's like she knows.
She knows what's up. She's like, is she in the abyss? Is there a cult going on? Witches?
Because she makes that comment about people in the woods or whatever, like knowing that there's something in the woods, or like, are you going in the woods? I forget what it was, but it was like she seems to know. But then I like never had an option to talk to her more about that. I was like, okay, well, what the fuck is that? So I don't know if I missed something or what. But
Kayla says, do we get a 70s version with Pam and her friends? That'd be interesting. That's actually kind of interesting. How it all
started.
Yeah.
Maybe they've been feeding the abyss or helping it for a long time,
I would like that. And and she's like, maybe she's like recruits for the abyss. Like, yeah, that'd be interesting.
Coleman's saying it's one of the if you open some Bibles, you eventually found one cut out and a message written by Celine. I don't open Bibles, so that's on me. Also, he says, did you notice in the picture in the cabin of the girl with the blue hair with "not your fuck toy" written next to it? Could be a call out of Deck 9. Would that be the Life is Strange?
Chloe.
No, is that or no?
No, she had blue hair.
Oh yeah, was it Chloe that had the blue hair? I forget.
Yeah, Chloe has blue hair.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah. I don't get the "not your fuck toy" reference, but I wouldn't consider myself part of the fandom. Like Josh.
I think it was just like they had all these fake punk bands, like really, she like the little zine and like all this stuff.
Gotcha.
Speaking of things that you might,
Kayla says definitely Chloe. It could be. They don't own it, so they got to make it different enough where they don't get in trouble.
Did y'all witness in the cabin a weird face mask thing in the top of the, like when you walk in the door, if you were to turn around and look up, there was like this mask in tape 2 that I just didn't recognize.
I think I saw that. I don't
Man,
remember.
I'm sad I didn't get
There's
a picture
a lot of
it.
Mysteries in this game.
Listen.
Yeah, I don't remember if I saw that. I can't remember.
I don't know if that was probably not a bug, but it looked like a weird, it was an extra thing, whether it's decor, it's like a big face and some sticks. That's what it looked like to me. That sounds terrifying now that I'm saying it out loud. But I'll take a picture and send it to y'all. But I was wondering, because I don't remember the girls putting that up in the cabin. So
let's talk about the feet. We haven't talked about the feet yet.
The feet?
What kind of show is this?
Are we rating the feet?
Everybody bring out your feet.
Oh, the picture of their feet.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing I noticed, depending on like what part of the game you're at, who you're with, the feet change. So like at one point. It's just me and Autumn in the cabin. So like it was just our 4 feet. One point I'm alone. It's just
Oh
my
shit!
feet.
I didn't notice that. That's cool.
That was fun. Yeah. I don't know that I noticed anything past that. I saw Cole in the chat was mentioning something about it earlier. I don't know if there was more than that, but that was a nice touch. I love it when a menu, it's so stupid, but I love it when a menu changes based on my progress of the game. Like The Last of Us does it and God of War has done it before. I love that shit. It's like
Me too.
anything to show progress.
Yeah, when you start tape 2, it's like 1 foot or 2. Yeah, it changes. Eventually, there's like a Force Ghost cat foot.
Oh, I didn't see that one. That's cool.
Yeah. I think at the end, I guess it's all of them again, but there's like she's like a Force Ghost.
That's fun. Yeah, once I finish it, I just turned it
Kayla
off.
sent me a picture of like a newspaper clipping, and it's talking about the Michelson Ranch, but at the bottom it has like a ad for hair. It says Chloe hair, and it does kind of look like Chloe. So
seems to be Chloe.
I think it could. I mean, it's got to be, right? Why would you use that name?
I would think so. And yeah. So Coal Mine's mentioning the Force Ghost cat. I didn't notice that. I turned the game off, so now I wish I hadn't, because that would have been a nice little visual.
Well, in mine, she appears as you guys. She left. You guys were alone. Swan was alone at the end.
Yeah,
that's sad to me. That's super sad.
Yeah.
So in mine, when we opened the box, each layer was like about kind of each girl, and so they're sitting across, like talking about it, and like I'm crying at this point because it's so sad. And they're talking about their memories of with each other and with Kat and like all this stuff. And you get to each layer of like little doodads, and it's like it represents like each girl and everything. And at the end, they're like decide to go their separate ways or whatever to leave, and so they all get up out of the table. Nora and Autumn, and then you kind of following them, and they stop and they go over to the stage, and Autumn goes up on the stage, and then Nora goes up on the stage, and they start playing the "See You in Hell" song. Yeah, but it's kind of a somber version because it's not like rocked out. They're older. It's acoustic. It's an acoustic set. Nora's up there, and Swan now she has her camera back, and so you're like you can like look at her or whatever, and Force Ghost's cat shows up behind them, and is kind of like they're like behind them, like looking at Nora and looking at Autumn and Swan. It's unclear if Swan like sees her or not, but it's kind of like it's really like a cute ending, I thought.
Oh wait, I did see them but they were all, it was like flashback for me, where like
because they were gone already.
Yeah, so for me, Swan was alone, and then she's like reminiscing, and there's also like past Swan next to me filming. And then it seems like present Swan like sees that and brings up her camera and starts filming. And yeah, they're doing "See You in Hell" in the woods.
That's so funny. So you still get like a little bit of that.
So there's still a version of it. It's just a little bit different.
Because then even in mine, they moved to the parking lot actually, and they're like, okay, whatever. They're like,
dang, they moved
like
to the parking lot. I'm so jealous.
And they're kind of awkward. And I had a romance with Autumn, right? So then Nora actually leaves first, but she's like, okay. And then me and Autumn kind of have a moment, and Swan and Autumn just have this like really heartfelt hug. They don't smooch again. That was just the childhood moment, I guess, but it's just this really like heartfelt hug, and they hug in the parking lot, and
nice. Yeah, Coldmine's in the Discord said that that's the same ending that
he was the opposite. He had romanced Nora though, so
right
for him, Nora and Swan.
But and then I said Kayla. Same ending as me and Jerica. Swan alone.
We're a lot of loners out here.
Yeah,
Josh, you gotta share your secrets with me. How do I get the girls to like me? All of them at once.
I felt like I was doing bad on tape 1. Tape 2, my focus was like I gotta pump these numbers up. So
sure.
I don't know. I just was clicking what I felt like would be like nice and supportive. I don't know.
Yeah, we're terrible friends.
I guess you're just bad. Yeah.
So now that we're sort of getting to at least like we've talked about our endings, talked about like, what characters stood out to us. And by the sound, listening to y'all's different decisions and playthroughs, there's a lot of options, I'm realizing.
Yeah.
And I'll add something here in a little bit. Don't let me forget. Josh, do you know about the phone? The phone call?
There's
no. Okay. If you're not answering, you don't know something right now. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it in a little bit. So don't let me forget about the phone, because I might. For me personally, like I connected more emotionally with this game because I think at times it could be a little bit cheesy, but it felt like me and my middle school friends, like growing up. And like I literally made movies with my best friend. Like we made remakes of horror movies, which I still have, and no one will see that. No, no.
How many likes? How many subscriptions? How many subs?
Listen,
1,000.
it depends where we get. You
Okay.
can buy me.
Okay,
At some point, I can be bought, and I could put these out. I'm not gonna put where the numbers at. It's a lot, because they're pretty cringy. But like to that point, like that's why I related this game so much, because it was cringy, but it was realistic cringy. I think all the interactions between the girls, the other characters, the bullies, the parents seemed very realistic. Like it was written really well, in my opinion. And even the awkwardness between some of the girls, depending on what we were doing that day, walking through the woods, reenacting a scene and having to kiss. A lot of characters, you could tell who vibed together well and then who didn't. And then like to see those change over time based on how I was playing, or even just seeing them in the future timeline and how their characters change. Like it felt super realistic. Did y'all feel the same way about the story? Like pretty genuine?
I think so. I think for me, the one thing that I kind of mentioned earlier, Nora, to me, it felt weird. I was like, there's nothing about my relationship with Nora in the past that seems that she would just like not be interested in being friends at all. And so that one I struggled with, but otherwise I thought so. I think it made sense, like the way that like the time jump felt right to me, and especially like the very, very opening moment of the game where you're on the phone with your mom as Swan, having come back to the town. Like
that was a good
that
one.
helps kind of paint the picture for me. So yeah, I think mostly yes, other than Nora for me.
I think like I kind of already went into this a little bit, just how I felt like very personally connected, to that feeling of your childhood and your adulthood being these distinct time periods, and your relationships kind of evolving and changing over time. But yeah, I mean, by the end of this thing, and I had all of them with me, I can't even imagine her being alone. That would make me even more sad.
Yeah.
But just reflecting, like, because I've moved around and I've had friends move around a lot and different things, and so just kind of reflecting on the nature of friendships changing and all that. That's what kind of got to me. And you of course have this other layer of just what happened with Kat and them. So in the storyline is already really sad and emotional. But then kind of relating that to, I think, an experience that everyone can relate to is just the nature of friendships changing and evolving, and people going in and out of your life. It just really kind of culminated at the end and really hit me pretty hard. So definitely one of those times where I'm like crying in a video game,
Yeah.
And so that's what I was saying. That's why I give it a 5 out of 5. Yeah, there's some video game stuff that makes it a 4 out of 5, but the way that this was able to emotionally resonate with me, I think it was very successful.
I bet if my ending wasn't as lonely, even though I did like the ending, I bet if it had more of that camaraderie, I bet I might have landed at like a 4 or 5 out of 5 instead of a 4.
That's what I'm saying. I wish they would have. I wish I could have made it to the parking lot and had like an extra hour to talk to the girls. Like, let us talk more.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the struggle with these kinds of games, though. Where like when it's so choice based and so like there's so many different outcomes of the story, there's always naturally going to be like one version that's just not as good as the others.
And I blame Mass Effect for making me play through games a certain way, because like I'm always scared if I don't start now trying to butter this person's role in this game, I'm gonna regret it, or I'll miss my chance and I will not replay this.
That's what's funny to me. I missed out on the tape 1. I wasn't playing like that. I should have been. So I guess tape 2, you can really bump those numbers up.
Guess.
It was wild because like I feel like I had a great relationship with most of the girls in tape 1, but yeah, tape 2, I was, I guess, missing because like I didn't. The ending for my playthrough didn't bother me being alone, just because like I feel like Swan had like this connection to what had happened, and at the end of it, like I was alone before, or when I got here, I'm like, I'm glad I got the experiences with my friends, but like at the end of the day, like this happened. I didn't really take it as like a, now that you're saying what you share, Josh, makes perfect sense, and I will go cry alone tonight. Now with your sort of perspective,
replay some of it. I think, chapters, but
I might just watch.
I wonder if you guys, because it sounds like both of you had a little bit higher on Kat than I did, but see, this is kind of min-maxing. But since she's goes away, you're kind of wasting energy on Cat, right?
What? I didn't know.
Patrick's muted.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. Josh's official stance says it's a waste to put energy into dead people.
Sounds bad.
Yeah,
This is video
yeah,
game
yeah.
min-maxing, but essentially, like, because since she's not available in the present, maybe you should focus more on like Autumn or Nora in the past, so
Well,
that
I thought eventually she would show up, in the
well, I
room.
didn't know for sure either.
So Coal Mines in the chat says the major events that get the girls to stay are Autumn's panic attack and
Oh.
the stealth section with Nora. If those weren't successful, it was really hard to get them to stay.
interesting.
I was successful in both.
Yeah,
Yes.
I
me
got
too,
her.
actually.
False coal mines false.
Well, I don't know that it's I don't think
my
It's
necessarily
probably
think
just
that-
waited.
I think he's probably not wrong. I think it's that maybe our relationships were so
Yeah.
low that it didn't move the needle.
Those are
enough.
probably just big, heavy midterms.
Oh, we
midterms.
just fucking sucked
We
then.
just
Yeah,
fucking sucked
probably
then, I
so.
guess.
I will be the
Goodness.
first to admit it. I'm not
Yeah.
ashamed.
But
Yeah.
she was trying to smooch everyone.
Yeah,
but that's kind of my point though.
we're
We're like
teenagers. That's pretty normal. No one gets
Yeah.
mad about it. We're just like, whatever. It's another day.
we're all smooching all the time. But I think that's part. It gets me frustrated to hear that like those were the two big things and I did them right. And still, like I'm looking at my screenshot of the final results for Nora and Autumn. I am one rung above the very bottom rung of my relationship with them, and I just don't feel like
I took a picture of mine.
I don't feel like I had that. Like the way that the story went, I'm shocked that that's how it ended up going for me, because I really feel like everyone like we all vibed, but I guess I just wasn't picking the ones to get the points enough. I must have just only been picking the ones that were like neutral, I guess. But that's frustrating.
Actually, for me, Autumn was first love, so it's all the way at the top, and Cat was new friend, which is one off the bottom.
Yeah.
So, and then Nora was just BFFs, which is only two off the bottom. So really, mine was just all Autumn. I guess maybe you can only focus on one. I don't know.
Maybe because so Cat was crush for me, so right below first love, and then the other two were just new friends. I didn't get either of them to
What
BFFs.
page was that on?
It was, I think, one of the very last pages. I think it was you'd see all of your 10 results, and then it either was before the 10 results or it was after the 10 results.
It didn't give me. I think because I couldn't connect.
Yeah, you're saying you had problems with
I didn't have any of that info. Yeah, because like at the end, I was trying to look at my results and it just said connection failed. It did show me. I do see all my choices. I just didn't see like.
Damn. Yeah.
I think you can go back if you go to the menu. You can see all that stuff like after the fact.
Yeah.
I'm curious now for me too, because like.
It sounds like I would be willing to bet that yours is Cat is first love and the other two are new friends since they went away, or lower. The just we're cool would be my assumption.
Damn. Well,
because what I
try again next time.
I forgot to get a screenshot of the present day one. I only got the screenshot of the past one.
I have that too.
So I don't, but I think Nora was the very, very bottom choice because she leaves. And then Autumn was, I think it's only 3 for the present.
Yeah, there's only 3. I'm actually maxed on both. So I've reconnected with both Autumn and Nora.
I think Nora was the middle, or sorry, Nora was bottom, Autumn was middle for me. So I think they have to be,
must have to be
reconnected to stay,
reconnected.
I think. Damn.
I think for me, the reconnected, or at least it felt like as a player, was when she goes outside for the smoke. I felt like I made a lot of progress in whatever those choices were. I felt like I made a lot of progress.
I went outside too.
Yeah, I felt like I made progress, but then she's still like, I just don't want to be here. She didn't sound anything like that, but
in my playthrough, she did.
Yeah,
a little nasally. I don't know why. What choice did I make to make that happen?
It was back in the chat.
I was putting stuff up her nose.
Yeah.
All right.
Interesting though.
Let's talk about this abyss business before we wrap up.
Okay.
Like, what is it? What do y'all think? And I'll tell you about the telephone.
Oh yeah.
I kind of like spoiled a little bit, but like I think it's similar to Uzumaki in the sense that it's a force of nature, that it's not necessarily something created. It's not like a villain created this. It is just a force of nature that exists. It may be even like another time and space, or maybe it's separate from time and space, because it seems like, like you see these purple things and apparently these shadow creatures that maybe could be foretelling future events and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think this thing could exist outside time, which would be interesting if they do a sequel and like we were saying, like maybe a prequel, but things from what happened now affect things in the past, because it's like all the times are combined around when this thing is open or something. That would be really interesting. But I think it's bad. Well, it's neutral because it's a force of nature, but it seems like it leans bad.
Sure. I agree. Yeah, I think, have either of you watched Outer Range? It was an Amazon show.
I was thinking about that. Yes, I
No.
only got like 4 or 5 episodes in, but I still don't know what it is, and I need to finish it.
The game reminds me of that in a bit, where so the premise of Outer Range, it's really good, but I highly recommend it. I don't know that we're going to get a season 3, which so then it's like kind of hard to recommend. We might, but I don't think it's officially been canceled. But it takes place somewhere in the West. It's like a Wyoming type situation on this ranch, and out in one of the pastures of the ranch is this giant like hole in the ground, like an abyss thing.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like Lost Records, but instead of young teenage girls, it's like a middle-aged
like
rancher.
Lost Records meets Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's Josh Brolin, and he's so good in it. But I get, and so like I kind of get a similar vibe where like I think that it's like a lot of what you were saying, Josh, of this like force of nature that there's a bit of a mystery around, and I think we will get more answers in the future if we get more games. And Coal Mines in the chat earlier was saying, from what he was seeing, they're like right in line with their sales projections, so that's not underperforming. So it's like that's a great sign that we probably will see
Great.
more of this.
Yeah, I didn't look into that. That's good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you my 2 theories real quick.
Yeah.
First, I agree with you. I think it is maybe something that's naturally occurred. I think of Nope. Have y'all seen Nope?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Nope.
You know, they think it's an alien, but spoilers. I guess I don't want to spoil it. I won't spoil it, but it's not what you think it is.
Okay.
But also in this, I'm like, man, I hope it's aliens. But it's probably not. It's probably a critter. It's probably just something natural. It could be an abyss hole, can be a thing, it could be an organism.
It's the Earth's butthole.
It is. And we finally, maybe it just finally ruptured or something happened to the Earth where it had to expose itself.
It's a simple case of a ruptured sphincter. All right.
Global warming. That's what caused it. But yeah. And then my other thing is what I want it to be. Oh, that makes you think of something? I will pause for that.
Quick pause. Coleman's saying, I do think it's time and space. He makes a good point. Time doesn't advance because when you're looking at the camcorder,
I noticed that too.
I noticed that, but I didn't internalize it, but I did notice the date is still August.
And she was even like, why is the battery even still charged and like everything, right?
That's right. Good.
Are they just stuck somewhere? Like as a child, hanging out?
Maybe Kat is alive, just stuck in time.
I mean, she's alive, but I think the abyss is like taking over or something.
Well, you don't care because you would never invest time in a dead person.
But what was your other theory, though?
This is not really a theory, but this is what I hope it is. Because, like, one of my ultimate dreams for Don't Nod to do with Life is Strange, and not to say, like, Deck 9 can't get it done, but, like, I've always just wanted, like, an Avengers situation where all these kids finally come together with powers and, like, have to fight, like, something else or something brings them together. It doesn't have to be, like, always against an evil villain, but something finally brings the kids together where it's more like, I don't know, like an X-Men situation. Maybe they start a school to train other key characters with these powers. So like, I'm still always going to lean into like, man, that's where I wanted Life is Strange to go. So like, I really want the Abyss to be something that is a humans controlling it. That's why I was really hoping to see like someone's causing this to happen. Because then maybe that can open the door to like more characters being like, not to say like none of these characters had special abilities, but who's to say like Kat, couldn't have some kind of an ability after maybe returning from the Abyss, and like I don't know, there's something there maybe
you could say, because in Lost Records Bloom and Rage you have the Abyss, and Pam seems to allude that maybe there's weird stuff in her timeline, and in some of the books you find it sounds like this thing is existing. Maybe we don't know what triggers it periodically. Maybe it needs to find certain people of some sort. We don't know why it's choosing certain people. We don't know if they're dead, they're alive.
Seems to always be women.
Yeah, could be.
Corey fell in the Abyss in my playthrough though.
Oh no, yeah, right. Never mind.
But either way, let's say they do another Lost Records game. Maybe it's a different city or different thing. it might not be an abyss there, but maybe there's some other kind of another kind of forming of
Entity.
entity that's
Yeah.
related to it. So like maybe like you want to be aliens. There could be some kind of a dimensional breach, a thinning of the veil, so to speak.
So then the abyss, the thinning of the veil, and the spaceship in the sky all team together to
Yes.
take over the world. Okay.
That's
I
gonna
like
be the
that.
next game. Yeah.
Here's what I'll say, Jerica. I don't think I want it to be that someone was behind it, at least intentionally. It could be interesting if like this abyss formed because of some event that happened, like whether it's Celine or whatever, they like accidentally trigger this thing to open up. And now that, but I wouldn't want there to be like an Albert Wesker in the.
We know from
That'd be great.
from 2 Clickbait episodes ago in my Last of Us 3 plot that Patrick doesn't like when humans are in control of otherwise natural occurrences.
Sure. I mean, I don't think humans should be in control of
like the
most
trope.
things.
Agreed.
He's not a fan.
Yeah, we have lost our right to own things, in my opinion. Coal Mines asks, this is one for me and no. Did you guys get Pam and the bartender to go on a date? I did not.
I saw that was an
I didn't do
option
that either.
in the afterwards, like that, whatever. Like
Kayla did.
I did not.
How about that?
I kind of ignored them. They seem nosy, so I was like, I don't want to talk to you.
Ooh, the Abyss is just an altered world event. Lost Records in the Alan Wake universe confirmed. God, I wish. God, I wish.
Team up. Oh my god.
If this was in the Control connected universe or whatever we call
Hell
it,
yeah.
then this would be an easy 5 out of 5 for me.
I think for sure, like what I was saying, I think they wrote it to be, I don't even know if they know what it is yet. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but like I think they wrote it to be kind of open where they could play with it if they wanted to.
Sure. I bet they do.
Yeah, they probably do.
They probably do.
Well, before we wrap up, because I think we've been going on for, I can't keep up with time, so hopefully, keep me.
No, this is good.
engaged.
We should start wrapping up.
Perfect, because I want to tell you all about this phone. I'm not going to be great at explaining it because I was trying to understand. At the end, I'm just trying to figure out what happened. Because I know I'm a derp. I'm not. I think this is an alien still. So let me ask the internet. And literally went down a rabbit hole with a lot of weird stuff you can trigger in this game. Okay. So when at the beginning of Take Two, when you're coming back for, I guess like you've been grounded or something, Swans like can call the friends for.
Yeah, I did that.
The mom's like, get off the phone.
Yeah.
But like I called everybody.
Yeah.
And apparently if you call Swan's number, I think from the future, if I'm not mistaken, you talk to some version of Swan or somebody.
Oh my gosh.
There's like a lot of theories that I can't explain here because it doesn't make sense to me. I need someone to explain it to me like I'm 2 or maybe not.
Well, that's very
4 or 5.
cool.
Where do you get the number from? Like a payphone maybe?
I guess from her phone or something. There's something that you can dial. I think it's maybe in her phone, like future timeline or current timeline.
Huh.
But a lot alludes to potentially Swan being taken over at some point too. And also in the Abyss. Oh. Who's to say?
Coleman is in the car at the very start. That's wild.
Who's to
say? You
gotta
do some blueprint style sleuthing.
Josh, who's to say this whole town has been swallowed by the Abyss by now? Did you ever see any other people?
Right.
Yeah.
See the same people the whole time. That's my contribution to this conversation.
I like where you're going with this.
So I'm like, who's to say what is real? What's really happening right now?
I would love it if we get like a tape 3 or a sequel and it's so much bigger than this. Like,
yeah, let's go.
I would love that.
And I'm sure there's more stuff like that in the game. If you go, if you join the Reddit for Bloom and Rage, like there's a lot of stuff.
Now I'm gonna check. I was kind of waiting till we talked to like really deep dive, but I'm definitely I'm interested.
Stop myself.
That's okay. I'm interested in like this dark entity that apparently is a thing. And wow,
you are on to something with Cat being taken over by possibly the Abyss. There's like I think,
and Coal Mines has talked about a lot too, where it feels like it's using Cat, or it feels like it wants Swan, and it's using Cat, and so.
Yeah, I'm realizing I did not do a good job of playing this video game. I missed so much.
I could have done a little bit better myself after reading some of the things I found on Reddit. I was like, damn,
This is what I love about the Don't Nod games. Everyone's
Yeah.
experience is
Cool.
different, and you're talking about it, and oh my gosh,
Love it.
love these games.
Yeah, I'm really glad at the end of it all, like they were able to have this like part 2 come out. I know they had to delay it a little bit, but I'm so glad it came out when it did. It couldn't
Sure.
have been any longer, or I would have
Yeah.
forgotten.
For sure.
Same.
So
I mean, I kind of forgot some things
He
when it was only a
did.
month, but that's a me problem.
yeah,
Blueprints.
same.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a Blueprints problem.
You're having to
That's-
remember all that
you know,
stuff in that
fuck,
game.
There's so
Yeah.
much.
There's a billion things to remember in that one.
There's so much. I just found a scepter. Oh my god.
Scepter.
God, a scepter. Jesus
I can't even find a
Christ.
shovel.
God damn.
I could just solve the dart puzzles up until
Oh,
things
no,
are
I hate
going to
those.
the power of something
My
else.
goodness.
Sure.
But we're not talking about blueprints here. We just
we're
talked
not.
about Lost Records, Bloom and Rage. So thank you for hanging out with us. I
Oh
do
my
not
gosh.
know how you normally end the show.
Oh, I'll
Patrick.
take it. I'll take control back.
Do you want
Take
to
it
Jerica.
back.
Thank you
Here,
for
A hot
let me give you
potato.
the horse. Free.
thank you for guiding that conversation so lovingly with so much care, Jerica. If you're watching this, maybe you're on youtube.com/@SpotlightGamesPod. You're watching this spoiler cast and you're thinking, oh, wow, these are some lovely people. Why don't I give it a subscribe? Why don't I give it a follow on their socials? And let us know in the comments, what did you think of Lost Records, Bloom and Rage? What things did you find? Are you as good a gamer as Coal Mines? Or are you as bad a gamer as me and Jerica? And then otherwise, go to dropinDropoutPod.com. That's where you can find all of our other goings on for throughout our little podcast network that we have here. But Jerica, where can the folks find you? What do you want to plug yourself before we go?
JK Games Podcast.
Boom.
Yeah, that's it. Just go there and look
Boom.
around. You'll find some goodies.
Josh, how about you?
It's highscoreweekly.com, mostly Instagram, TikTok, and Twitch, Highscore Weekly. And that's it. You know, video game music, retro games, all that.
Hell yeah. And then also Mondays, Clickerbait over on JK Games Podcast. We're having a great time recapping each week of The Last of Us Season 2. We only have 5 weeks left, but we have our thoughts out for episodes 1 and 2 so far, and a few before that. So make sure, if you're a Last of Us knower and somehow have missed the news that we're doing that show, go to JK Games Podcast for Clickerbait every Monday on twitch.tv/JK Games Podcast. All right, let's go home. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. It was lovely to be back. I might be gone for a few more weeks after this because of Clickerbait, but I hope to drop in every now and then. But shout out to Coal Mines and Caleb for sticking with us the whole time. We'll see you next week. Until then, bye-bye.